Guys, our today's topic of discussion is photorespiration. And guys, photorespiration, it is a respiratory activity which occurs in the plants during the daytime. Means if the plants are carrying out respiration at the daytime in the presence of light, then this type of respiration is called photorespiration. And guys, as the name shows, this word is derived from the two words. First is photo and the second is respiration. Photo is the word used because this process is carried out in the presence of sunlight, and the respiration shows that in this process the plant will use the oxygen and in turn it will produce the carbon dioxide. So this the process is called photorespiration. Guys, this process helping in the production of carbon dioxide and using oxygen. But from where this oxygen is coming to use, and when the process of photorespiration will occur, let us discuss this thing. One process, guys, in the plants that is carrying out is photosynthesis. It is a process in which the carbon dioxide will combine with the water in the presence of sunlight and in turn will produce the glucose and oxygen. This oxygen, guys, in the normal days means when the temperature is low and not very high, or the temperature is normal and it is not very sunny or hot day, then this oxygen will easily come out of the plant by the help of the stomata that are opened. But in case of a sunny day, or in case of very hot or dry day or hot or dry weather, the stomata will remain closed in order to prevent the loss of the water from the plant. And as the stomata are the single and common opening for the loss of water and oxygen, then the oxygen that was producing during the process of photosynthesis will not also go out from the plant because the stomata is closed there. So the amount of the oxygen will continue to rise during this hot and dry weather. And in order to balance this amount of water, high amount of amount of oxygen in the plant, this oxygen will then react with or mix up with the RUBP, and RUBP means ribulose bisphosphate. And remember, this is the same reactant that we have studied in the Calvin cycle. And because the amount of oxygen is very high as compared to carbon dioxide, and so the oxygen is now going to react with the ribulose bisphosphate and not the carbon dioxide. So this reaction in which the oxygen will now react with the RUBP is called the photorespiration. So here you can say that the photorespiration is the process in which the oxygen react and oxygen and RUPP react and then produce carbon dioxide. And this reaction carry out in the dry and hot weather, or whenever the temperature is high. So how this oxygen and RUBP mix up with each other in order to produce carbon dioxide? Let us discuss this thing. First of all, the oxygen and ribulose bisphosphate will react with each other in the chloroplast. Here this reaction is carried out and the ribulose bisphosphate will react with the oxygen and the product will be the glycolate. Guys, this reaction is carrying out in the presence of the enzyme that is called rubisco. And you know that the rubisco is the most abundant protein in the chlorophyll and probably the most abundant protein in the world. So here you can say that see that the rubisco is helping in the addition or mixing up of oxygen with RUBP. While in the Calvin cycle we have seen that the rubisco will helping was helping in the mixing of carbon dioxide with RUBP. So the Rubisco can act both as oxygenase and carboxylase. Means when it will help the mixing of oxygen with the ribulose bisphosphate, it is acting as oxygenase, and whenever it will help in the mixing of carbon dioxide with RUBP, then you can say that the Rubisco is acting as carboxylase. And how will you determine that it will act as oxygenase and carboxylates? Then it depends upon the amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide, relative amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the plant. If the amount of oxygen is greater, then the Rubisco will act as oxygenase, and if the amount of carbon dioxide as compared to oxygen is greater, then the Rubisco will act as carboxylase. So the after mixing of oxygen with the RUBP and production of glycolate, then this glycolate will diffuses into a membrane bounded organelle that is called as peroxisome. And after diffusing into the peroxisome, it will then convert into a product that is called as glycine. And the conversion of glycolate into glycine is not a single reaction. This conversion is carried out in the series of reaction. The glycine, you know, that a simple amino acid, simplest amino acid, and which soon after its formation diffuses into the mitochondria. And in the mitochondria, the two glycine molecules will react with each other and then produce serine. And in addition to the serine, there will be the production of carbon dioxide. So this pathway in which the RUBP is changing into the serine and there is production of carbon dioxide, this pathway is called as photorespiration. So guys, there are some similarities and differences between the photorespiration and Calvin cycle also. That this photorespiration process also uses the ATP and NADPH that was producing in the light reaction of photosynthesis. And you know that the Calvin-Manson cycle also uses the ATP and NADPH that was produced in the light dependent reaction. This is the similarity. But if you see that the Calvin cycle and the photorespiration are totally reverse of each other. Means here in the photorespiration there is production of carbon dioxide. But in the process of Calvin cycle, the carbon dioxide was fixed into the carbohydrates and not there was the production of carbon dioxide. And in the Calvin cycle there was the production of glucose. But in this photorespiration process, there is no such product like glucose. There is only the production of carbon dioxide. So this is a simple difference that if the temperature will be high or the weather will be very dry and hot, then after the light dependent reaction or the next reaction will be the photorespiration. But if the temperature is normal, then the next reaction to the light dependent reaction will be the Calvin cycle and there will be the simple production of glucose. So guys, this photorespiration process is not very essential for plants and many plants grow perfectly without this process of photorespiration. So this is the overall pathway in which the photorespiration is carrying out. So I hope you understand all the things about this and don't forget to share this video with your friends. Thank you so much.